What is the significance of astrology in our lives? How much does the play of planets really matter? Do they really affect us? Is it something that we need to look into? What kind of power do they exert over our living experience? So this is a response to some of these questions that we're coming through on these lines, especially with at this time Pluto moving into Capricorn and then making a big transition, coming into Aquarius by the end of the year. And there is so much happening if you have to explore at the level of astrology, with where all the known planets are, right? Concentrated energies, one may say. The same oneself, right? Playing. So, one of the key things again, is context. Every question ultimately points to the nature of mind, identity, that is asking the question. And this is why, again, the direct path of know thy nature, the nature of mind, can be very, very helpful, and it's like going to the root of it all, right? So when we are identified as a separate person and we play this game of putting and having this world outside of us so that we can experience as consciousness this way of relating, right? All of these things come into play. Everything with astrology. The most important point in this that I feel that can be very helpful is to know that everything that is can be seen as a state of consciousness. Because most of the time when we are identified at the level of Dwapar Yuga, our framework of those questions itself come from a space many times where we can sense that, it's like the uncertainty of what is to come, because as Dwapar Yuga, as we know, when we stand as a separate self, it's like the future is unknown. And that is why the experience of moving as a doer, or that I want to know so that I can be ready. Yes, it can have anywhere from a flavor of even fear. Right? So it's very important to know this, that the conditioning of this is because we put a reality outside of ourselves, we are asking to see and get clarity as if it is outside. So independent of that which I am. Right? And that's the experience, right? Can I just sense into this? Anything, even when we unwittingly sometimes say, I hope the world is going in the right direction, I pray for this, whatever. The underlying meaning of that is that it is happening as if independent outside of me. And that means it has its own power apart from that which I am. And this itself is the core. Because any time we hold a belief, and that's what we are actually ascending from, to that which we already are, the only power. Right? But when we look at it this way and translate it this way, which is a valid way, right? And one state, one level of experience, we naturally give our power away. This is very, very key to see. And therefore, if we have to be aware, no matter who, if we are looking outwards, if we are looking outwards, whether it is going to an astrologer, or whether we are looking at the news, or we are doing our research, or we are, looking at tarot card readers, wonderful, wonderful ways in which we can sense what is happening at one level, right? That's the collective level. And I'll kind of share one way of exploring this that can be helpful if it resonates. It's wonderful ways to do this, but the key point in this is to know that everything that is translated via a state of consciousness, what is perceived, right? So everything that comes into our perception, everything that comes into our perception can only come into our awareness after, I mean, it's instantaneous, but I'm saying it's simultaneous, but to speak in time, because all this context is set up in that framework, right? After the self vibrates, if you've heard Bashar say this, right? Bashar says, little way he says that you cannot perceive anything, and that perceive means even the knowing of it, not just the perceive the way that we see in five senses. Even the sensing of it, even the knowing of it cannot come into our awareness if the I, the nature, the state of mind, the consciousness, the mind is not vibrating. And that is one of the core ways that we can really explore into this. So, couple things that I want to respond to for the questions. Am I ready? Are we ready? And that's why when we know this, we really realize the known world is like a celebration. Because everything that comes into awareness can only come into awareness for this play. That means I am already that. Of course, context is everything. First thing, of course, that which we are is contextless. It is not even playing in the game of this coming and going. We know that. We'll just keep that aside. Because at that point, you won't even be listening to this. There's no need to. But within the context, right, a higher way, right, than the personal mind. So, is to know that everything that comes into perception only after I am. I am that which is ever ready. And this is the knowing of the feminine energy and the masculine coming into balance. Because the feminine is the subtle sensing. And she is the one which says, I am always. She is eternal. She is the subtle from which everything arises. I am always. I play in always. Right? The multi-dimensionality that is experienced once this feminine and the masculine energies come into balance. Which is not the case for the unconscious Dwapar Yuga when we are playing as that, as a separate self. Then we are only identified at the level of five senses. Right? That's the gross level, and then we are looking outwards. And that's when we need to look, we seek answers from outside. Because we are dancing at the level where we believe there is only one reality outside. So there is something completely happening outside of me, and because naturally that reality is so much larger than this little thing that I am. Outer has a lot of power. That's simply the play. Every state of mind is a kshetra, a playground that allows for the dynamics of experiencing that. Consciousness, there's only consciousness, that which we are, there's nothing else. But in that level, it's a denser level play, third density, right? Coming into fourth density. So the way that I kind of sense this, so that's me coming through, is really like these three levels. Okay, so the first densest level, one may say, is the Kali Yuga, dense level, third density. Of course, I want to also name this, there are no clear fragmentations, they all flow into each other. Layers within layers, cycles within cycles. Okay. So the third density is that when we are the Kali Yuga and even the denser Dwapar Yuga, we may say, completely identified at the level of the separate self, right? And here there is a reality outside of ourselves. There is a world outside. It's a completely as if what I see from my five senses. That means everything is a world of matter, concretized. That is what we depend on. And that is what we deem to be true. That is how we navigate in our exploration. Right? If I see it, if I feel it, if I know it, if I hear it, if it is happening to somebody else, then it is possible. That's the game. It's a slower game, because that's the linear time where the time is slowest. We are vibrating because we are time. We are appearing as time. So we are in time. That's what we see. We're really in time, right? So time is experienced based on the vibration of the mind. So that's one level. So we'll go there, and that's where the doer comes into place, where we really, the doing is happening as a personal self, the effort. Right? So all of that. Naturally we'll go. And that's why very key at that point, right? To know who we are going to, because the astrologer or the one who is sharing the knowledge and sensing, and this is so key, this is so key. You know, we are all at this level at different spaces, right? And everybody is evolving. There are blind spots that each body mind can see or cannot see. And that is why the core thing that I really say that can really help is to be self-aware. That is the non-practice. When we're too concerned about what is coming through from the outside, we're dependent on that. Then our guidance, then, you know, how we move really, and that's fine. That's fine. You know, we're dependent on others. But I'd say the best path is to be self-aware. Then when we are aware, when we are sharp, then we can sense, even when we're navigating via astrology or via tarot or whatever means that might be, these outer practices via yoga, we're listening to another teacher or anybody else who's sharing, but the awareness is here, the resonance is here, right? And then that kind of also builds on the trust factor. We know it might be true for another, it's not true for us, right? And that allows us to navigate through. It's a very, very key. So when we go at the third density level to an astrologer, what is the state of consciousness of that person who is sharing? How open are they? Where are they coming from? And we can immediately sense that, because the truth of it is when you really go to anybody and it translates in a way where, and of course we have to take responsibility for our own, that's ultimate, right? Our own understanding of it. But sometimes it's very clear when it comes across as, you know, fear, this is going to happen, all of that. Then the knowledge, the truth of that, what is coming through, where the planets are and everything, perception may be very high, but the way that it is being interpreted through the nature of the mind is through fear. And when we are not aware of that, it translates into that. Right? So one way is at the personal level, where we are completely then dependent on the state of consciousness of the outer, right? And that kind of, we become dependent on that. Second, that's Kali Yuga, like the second one is when we wake up and we are still at the level of the body, but it's the collective level. Right? So this, the way that I sense is really when we wake up, we're still the body, but we sense synchronicities. Right? We can really know, we know, even if we are going for guidance to somebody, we can sense the state of consciousness of that person, and we know that where they are coming from, what it's taken, and that is a different play, and that can be really, really a beautiful play. That is when astrology, tarot, we're still looking outside, we're still playing, because we are at this, this is the fourth density, one may say. Right? Hold all these terms loosely. The mind has a way to put names to this. There's so much to that, right? But this is the way when you can really play with astrology. And now the inherent thing is, I know all is me. All is that which I am. Okay, and that which arises at the level of the planets, whatever that is arising so beautifully and confirming, right, that which I am, that which I have brought forth. As in not just the I as the person, the I is the one I. Right? So nothing can come right now and then you can also sense at the soul level, because this collective earth is like one soul experience. Right? So at the soul level, we have called forth these changes, this shift, this awakening world. It's a done thing. Right? So the drop is not separate from the ocean. Right? So first, third density, we think we are the drop. So that is the world that's going on. When we wake up, even though I appear at the level of the drop, I am the wave. That's the second level, fourth density you can say. I am the wave, part of the whole ocean. And the drop then can be seen as the conscious known mind. The wave can be seen as the subconscious subtle body, light body, energy, whatever you want to call that. And then the ocean can be the what we call as the unconscious, which is our true nature as the unknown. Right? So these frameworks, just to give you a picture. So the collective level, beautiful play. This actually is the play where we are interacting with the world, with the other, perceived other, as if the reality, intimately, because we know all is that which is the one self, the one divine self at play. So naturally we sense then, the more and more timeless we get. See this, if you look at it at the level of time, we can really see this is getting more and more timeless. First, we're completely in the time itself. Now time starts becoming more fluid. Yeah? Synchronicities. We know, whatever comes into awareness, somebody says something. It's not that they are saying, it's the one self that is saying. And we can literally, smile at that. Okay, I knew that. Thank you. So the divine speaks to us through all of nature, through the trees, through the way the clouds are moving, the way the wind is moving, and everything is speaking, because everything is the expression of the one divine. And so are the planets. Right? So that's a beautiful part of this play, the fourth density play, whether I name that. And then of course beyond that is really that timeless state. That timeless state where all there is the knowing, the self, the reality, pure experiencing. If you've been following some of the gurus, you really see this is where we really see, I want to name one, Adi Shankaracharya. Kind of, like he is in this world, but completely there is no outer world. So there is no need to even look at astrology, ask anybody else, because the mind itself has become so timeless, and as the one, everything, you become so present in the now moment that, because the now is the I am, that's the only place we are, right? So the now then becomes everything. We know it's life is like, that's the fast moment, even beyond water, that's the akasha, because there's no movement even. Right? You become that still space within which everything appears. Then you're not even looking, and in the Indian culture, that's why I really say that when that awakened and enlightened state is lived upon, and that which we already are, right? Everything is the light, that which already is, simply playing as colors. But when that happens, that is why they would say, that at that level, when you are completely the Guru Tattva, then you don't look outside. You don't need to look outside. And that's why many times, the Indian astrologers will say, for them, they've stepped out of the astrology, this thing, planets have no effect on them. And that's true, that's how it's experienced. Because everything of the world, that appearance, is taken in your heart. You're living as the one divine self. That is where literally the loss of the identity of even the knowing of I am as a separate body is not a conscious thing in the mind. There's only awareness as the self, and that self is the one self. That is the divine moving in a way where the body simply moves. There is absolutely zero personal thought process. So no interpretation. Everything that is worded or comes out from the mouth is instant. The divine speaking, perfect for what is there in that moment. It's not a concept that is being given. It is simply for that was arising in that moment. It arises, dissolves, arises, dissolves. Then you're completely stepping out. That's the third. Like these three levels that can be experienced within this human experience that we are having as consciousness. So there's Kali Yuga, dense Dwapar Yuga, then the higher awakened, which I still put in the Dwapar Yuga and the Treta Yuga thing, is the collective experience. That's the third eye opening. So we are not only living at the level of matter, right? Only from these two eyes, the third eye sees beyond the illusion. We see that nothing is a coincidence. Everything is synchronicities. That's the collective level. I see my world as my living soul that I am. Yeah, this Mother Earth's experience is that which I am. And then even beyond that, at the cosmic level, that which I am, we wake up to the multi-dimensionality. And then after that, an ultimate disillusion where just everything is timeless. Nothing needs to be looked at. It's just the living of it. There's no time. Every moment. So, this is beautiful, right? A sense into this. Chronos versus Kairos. Chronos. As long as we're still in the body, we are relating everything to it as the body. The body is moving. Time is moving. There's ascension. There's evolution. And the grand flip. That is the Treta Yuga and the Satya Yuga paradigm where we're like absolutely Kairos. Then that is the still silent state. Right? That state where it's flipped. The whole paradigm is flipped. I am the now space, the I am awareness. Within this appearance of time as if happens, that my five senses are seeing. But we are simply moving from that timeless state. Then we don't even experience or explore, there's no exploration or engagement with the time at the linear way. Right? So everything is context. That's why I was saying not every state of mind is experiencing uniquely. All there is to reality is experience that is determined by the vibration of the mind. The reason for so many words is to say that's why when a question comes up, write it down and see what is the state of the I that is asking this. Right? We can clearly see where is it coming from. Who is the I that is asking that question? You can clearly see five senses. That's why no right or wrong, right? The only way to play this game is to step out of any of these boxes, or rather, more accurately, see the mind that has its play in a box. When we step out of that, we allow for ourselves to sense into this. And then there is no right or wrong. Because this was coming up, right? Astrology. Like, should I even look at it? Sometimes, like, discern. If it is overwhelming, if it is putting you, because that's why the state of being, our vibration, is everything. At that point, see that it is the fear that is moving us to kind of know more. Know more. And depending on what our sources are, we are going to know more. Can be helpful or not. And again, in all of these words, let's say one thing. Even that is not wrong. Because that's the one divine experiencing the flavors of that state of being. Nothing is outside of pure perfection. Because there is only the unnameable, auspicious perfection that is consciousness, vibrating as different states of mind. And the mind is only the one mind, that is which is the non-dual, that which we are. And that is tapping into the beauty of no matter where we find ourselves. I'm experiencing myself as this now. And that allows us to play rather than make it more serious. This consciousness playing. And consciousness, we as consciousness, such pure brilliance, that's the nature of mind, pure brilliance, here to experience everything. Because I am is all there is and there appears to be. So that's why the invitation to trust. Trust your own self to begin with, right, in the context of the personal mind. Trust your knowing. And sense the state of being. Because the more constricted, the denser emotions of our state of being, the lesser the perception, the more the dependency. Simply part of the play, simply phenomena happening. And if any of this resonates and this has come to you, there's no coincidence. It only comes when we are ready, because there's only one self that is reminding itself, right? Whenever we hear these things from the others, it's that which I am that is speaking to me. So shared in my Kali video, I'll also go ahead and put that, how at the level of the planets we can see the third density. That's why in Vedic astrology, Vedas, yoga rishis could see much, much more. But is it useful? Is it relevant to even share that with the state of mind, which is dancing at the level of personal? It's not going to be useful. It's in that context. That's why Jyotish, Vedic astrology, only shared at the point till Saturn, right? Because that's relevant for the personal mind. And then, of course, after that, we have the outer generational planets. So now with Pluto coming in and moving into Aquarius, such a mega shift. And where is that shift? Because the shift is happening so-called within, without, it's one and the same. The one divine self. We're experiencing ourselves, awakening to our truer self, beginning a new play. Unbelievable. And that is why as consciousness, we are each of us uniquely streaming in here like the rays of the sun, one sun, experiencing this uniquely, bringing forth into our world. We are here, each of us, to play our part. Whether that part looks like it's silent, sitting in stillness somewhere, not to be seen, or whether we are called to express, or whether we are called to play, whatever that is, simply the presence of us is so powerful. That which the gross mind doesn't many times realize. Right? That's why we say doing is secondary. Of course, at the Dwapar Yuga level, that's what we'll do. Doing is necessary till it is not. Because at that level, it's through the doing that awareness comes. And that's why, I want to name this as well. Somebody was saying Kali Yuga, when these planets and all were there, rituals and everything were set, because at one level, at the Kali Yuga level, when we do something, it brings us at ease. Okay, I've done it, I've given it to God. All of that, right? That brings us into peace. Even at the higher level, when we're playing as the elements, right? These yagnas and all were done because there was an acknowledgement at the collective level, even at the level of matter, at the subtle body level, everything is a play of elements. So when I honor that, and I align elementally while I'm doing a yagna or a ritual or chanting a mantra, I become that, right? So powerful. That's another level of play. Till, of course, the other level where all there is awareness. I am the power. I am the alchemist. The I is the alchemist. A simple shift in that knowing, in the vibration within, is the inner yagna. Because everything arises from that. Right? play with this. Play with this. That which we are cannot be thought, cannot be expressed, cannot be put into words. It's contextless. And at this level of play, what is the highest context we can hold for ourselves? And that means for our world. What is the highest possibility, most expansive possibility? That's why we say the change is within. As the self changes, its world and reality appears to change. That's the play. To living and celebrating that which is I am, an awakened body, mind, world. To playing together. Much love.